Why connect with nature? We are nature. We come from nature. To connect with the natural world is to connect with something deep within us. One may call it God, creation, the essence of being, or simply source energy. Whatever we call it, it is clear to me that it came well before us. It supports all essential life functions. It is easy to forget about amidst the daily grind, and it will be around long after we are gone. To spend quality time in the vast wilderness is to return home for some, a place that feels both exotic and familiar at the same time. To marvel at a mountain range that developed over millions of years, ponder the process of snowfall melting to form the beginnings of an extensive river network that provides water to millions of humans, non-human animals, and plants downstream. To understand that you are connected to this place in some way, while never losing sight of the fact that it is not 100% safe. It commands respect and vigilance just as much as awe and wonder. Perhaps that is why it has the ability to waken our comatose modern souls. For over 90% of human history, roughly 300,000 years or so, humans lived in deep connection to nature. It is only within the last few centuries that we have broken away from that connection, now spending over 90% of our lives indoors with artificial electric lighting, air temperature control, bug screens, and well over 13 channels of shit on the TV to choose from. Shout out to Pink Floyd. To have all your senses awaken at once, sight, smell, sound, touch, and to a lesser degree taste, to a feeling of deep belonging, only then to be confronted by an animal that could take your life, such as a bear, moose, or mountain lion. This kickstarts your fight or flight response, the healthy stress response that only occurs when your life is truly in danger, not the one that flares up when Microsoft Teams begins to ring or your boss assigns more last-minute work on a tight deadline. Humans are well adapted for short bursts of intense cortisol and adrenaline releases in order to survive the dangers of the natural world, not necessarily for chronic low-grade stress over taxes, bills, retirement accounts, promotions, and other anticipated future events. Spending time in nature can force us to remember where we come from and question if our current trajectory as a species is one that will serve us or break us. Our planet, Earth, is in the Goldilocks zone of habitable planets capable of harboring life, the optimal distance from the Sun to where we don't burn like Venus or freeze like Pluto. Balance is the key, as with so much in life. Too much radiation from the Sun damages DNA in living organisms. Not enough sunlight means no plant growth, which means no oxygen, which means no mammals, which means no primates, which means no humans. From our vantage point, it appears we are the lone planet to harbor complex life, though we've only explored a tiny fraction of the known universe. Mathematically, complex life should be found elsewhere someday. Perhaps it already has. Potable water generated from evaporation and precipitation via the hydrological cycle is the lifeblood of all organisms on Earth. The food we grow and consume is highly dependent on this process. Nature is the fundamental base for all human activity that follows. So why then do most of us rarely think about it except when it harms us? The 1 in 1,000 year flood is more remarkable to most humans than the entire system that sustains daily life, which took billions of years to come to fruition. We take so much for granted, and yet, who can blame a fish for not appreciating water? The energy demand of modern industrial civilization converts natural resources, primarily ancient organic matter buried in the earth, extracted and burned, aka fossil fuels, though solar, wind, hydro, and other alternative sources are rapidly scaling, with solar leading the way, into energy that is constantly consumed to power our lights, ships, cars, trains, planes, trucks, automobiles, etc., which in turn power our modern consumer economy, which must grow forever to stave off collapse. This process of endless resource extraction, deforestation, fossil fuel burning, overuse of water supply amidst an endlessly growing population debases our biosphere, disrupts natural habitats, warms the planet, triggers more extreme weather, and projects to pose significant challenges to all life on Earth in the coming decades. It is unclear exactly how much warming modern civilization can handle, but most scientists describe a plus 4 C degree world as an apocalyptic hellscape. We are currently on course to reach plus 2 degrees C of warming in the next decade or so. Well before 2100, we will be forced to make difficult decisions regarding access to food and water, barring some AI techno miracle. Debasing our Debasing our source of survival seems short-sighted and immature from the cosmic perspective. From the selfish gene perspective, we humans are simply maximizing our ability to do work in the present moment and optimizing for convenience today at the expense of stability tomorrow. My journey to reconnecting with nature began around 2013. General curiosity combined with an extreme aversion to the mundane nature of repetitive white-collar work, an unresolved father wound, and a need for meaning led me to YouTube astronomy lectures from Stephen Hawking and Carl Sagan. This then led to reading some of their most popular books, A Brief History in Time by Hawking and Cosmos, the legendary book by Carl Sagan. The cosmic perspective of viewing Earth from space led to studying the Earth more closely and its delicate balance of fragility and resilience. Climate change was soon on my radar. This was primarily an intellectual experience for the first few years, although I would read outside as often as possible, appreciating the sun, watching birds fly over the ocean, and cloud gazing in sunny South Florida. A work trip to Denver led me to my first experience hiking in Boulder, Colorado. I thought I had discovered the Rocky Mountains, but really it was just the Flatirons and El Dorado State Park. To a Florida boy, Flatlander, any hill larger than a landfill is a sight to behold. But I saw a few larger peaks off on the horizon, and I had to explore further. My first time inside Rocky Mountain National Park hit my soul. I was immediately aware of how small and insignificant I was looking up at those snow-capped peaks. This was the feeling of watching space documentaries on the universe, except in real life. I did an easy loop around Bear Lake in Nike skateboarding shoes, because I'm a newbie. I saw a moose mom frolicking with her baby in a rain-soaked meadow, and I was instantly hooked. While it would be a few more years before I returned, life serendipitously led me to moving to Colorado with my wife in 2023. I didn't love the winter temperatures at first, but summers in the Rockies filled me with so much warmth and happiness. Hiking to Gem Lake, Emerald Lake, Dream Lake, Lake Hayaha, Mills Lake, Chasm Lake, Lockvale Lake, and the infamous Ypsilon Lake, where we ran out of food and water after a 8-9 mile hike, with my wife were some of the happiest days of my life in recent memory. So much so that leaving one of those trips brought tears to my eyes. I realized that I was capable of much more happiness, awe, wonder, appreciation, and an ultimate wholeness that I just couldn't find in modern urban life. I returned to Rocky Mountain National Park many times during our brief 2 years in Colorado, each time falling more in love with the views, the wildlife, the good vibes, the exercise, and the adventure, and the sunshine on my shoulder. I also did my first 14er, Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs. Pikes Peak is a prominent 14,000-foot Colorado 14er known as the 31st highest in the state. It offers over 7,700 vertical feet of gain, over 13 miles via the Bar Trail, which is a challenging, non-technical climb, typically tackled in 1 or 2 days. It's known as a marathon of a 14er. It's really, the length is what's challenging, not necessarily any sort of climbing. But for the first one, it's pretty grueling. My buddy and I completed it in one long day of 8 hours. I wanted to share this feeling with people close to me who I knew could appreciate it. I wanted them to realize there was a better way to experience life. The taste of a warm meal after hiking 10 miles over 8 hours and running out of snacks and water as an unprepared rookie. The joy of waking up at 3 a.m. to stargaze and chase in the Milky Way. The way the inner child is brought back to life when a herd of elk walks by. The simple joy of being alive and present in nature on planet Earth. So since this time and moving to San Diego, I've joined the Wilderness Basic course, which is put on by the Sierra Club. They teach you how to backpack and survive in the wilderness. And I did my first overnight car camp a few weeks ago in the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. I really enjoyed it. Everything was fun, exciting. The group of people were awesome and very helpful. The only hangup was actually sleeping, since it was my first time sleeping in a tent. I heard everything, or every little zipper noise, wind. I was probably a little paranoid, sleeping outside for the first time, thinking of mountain lions or some other animal trying to get at me. Um, and then I thought I wouldn't sleep the entire night. Then I found myself having a few dreams, and when I would wake up, I would realize, well, if I'm dreaming, then that means I likely slept for at least an hour or two. This happened like two or three times until the last time I could see the sun peeking up. So, all in all, it wasn't too terrible, but definitely not the easiest night of sleep. And from what I've heard from the experts, it's pretty normal to not sleep well on the very first time. Usually by the third day or so, after hiking a while, you're a little more tired. It's easier to fall asleep, and then perhaps a little less worried about what could go wrong while out there. But overall, it's a great experience. Looking forward to a few more of those hikes, and just yeah, appreciating nature and the fact that we live on a planet that is capable of supporting us. Sometimes we can get bogged down by all the craziness that happens on the news and global geopolitics. But at the end of the day, nature is the base of everything. It's easy to forget about. Certainly understand we all uh, want comfort, safety. It's a human thing is to seek comfort, but there's diminishing returns on the comfort. And I believe we're going to have too much comfort, which comes at the expense of sustainability, long term habitability, really fulfillment, because extreme comfort, I don't think, is necessarily fulfilling. I think we do need some sort of challenge at all time, a worthy goal to attain that gives us that sense of fulfillment and purpose. And extreme comfort can take away from that to some degree. But I'll leave you with that for this one. Thanks for listening, and get out there and start hiking and exploring this beautiful world.